Identify with your goals first and define yourself that way, and the change will be much faster. And you'll already know what that feels like before you actually achieve.
Hey, Feisty Badass Triathletes, we are here again in our weekly live show here in Ironman and Beyond Facebook group. And I am so excited to introduce you one of our inspirational athletes, one of the athletes that I've been coaching for at least 2 years now. But today we are going to be unpacking her story. Very, very inspirational. Well, let me take you back of how we actually met. We met back in 2018. And at the time, Amy Purvis, actually, she was all over. I'm like, when I met her, like I saw her swim, I'm like, oh, this girl has a lot of work. And then, like when we did the open water swim, she lost her keys already. And then her bike wasn't ready. And then she actually missed the workout because of those reasons. But then, at the time, well, because she was novice, she wasn't very confident. I mean, it happens to a lot of us. I mean, I was new back then. I had no confidence and I had no idea what I was doing, but I was just trying to be triathlon. Who else are in that arena? Trying to be a triathlete, wanting to be a triathlete. I was one of them. And that was where she came from back in December 2018. That was not a long time ago. So she was actually even injury prone, like her ankle would actually get hurt often, or sprained ankle. She was coming off from being overweight. She was also, her swim, she started at 3 minutes per 100 yards, and her bike was actually 13 miles per hour. Her run, it was her strongest sport, and it was 11 minutes per mile, around there, 11, 12 minutes per mile. So that was her back in 2018. But before I tell more about her, and I'm sure you are so excited to hear about Amy, let me introduce Amy Purvis. Amy Purvis, welcome, welcome. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to come and talk to you guys. I love sharing my story, and then also learning from others. So
Awesome.
Enjoy it. Thank you.
So a lot of you guys may have heard already all the races that she has been doing. We always see like, oh, this amazing woman, like she's just crushing her races. She actually, what we're going to be talking about today is that how she was able to race 2 races just last month. And there were not easy races. There were St. George 70.3. That's hilly, hot. That was first weekend of May. That was just last month. And after that, she came back to work. 2 weeks after, she showed up again and then went to IRONMAN Tulsa. And that was inaugural. And guess what? We were watching the rain. It was raining. It was raining that day. And guess what? On those 2 races, she beat her PR, her personal records, in which her previous races were actually much easier, perfect weather, flat. But she did that. And right now, she's joining us. She's injury free. She's healthy. She's looking amazing. So today, I am so excited to really like dig into Amy and learn from you, unpack, because a lot of people see you like crushing these races. But what a lot of people didn't know is that it was not long time ago. I'm actually going to show some picture here of how you were back then. So at least people have more of like where you started. And I created this short presentation here. This is how she was. And then I think, Amy, how about, when was this? What year was this one on the left picture?
It was probably 2016, 2015.
2016. So that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. And then here, was this 2020 or 2019?
So it was last year, last summer.
Last year only. And that was when everyone, all of us, are having a hard time with motivation with COVID-19 that hit us last year. But that was her. She has maintained her weight. She's looking great. And then the next thing is that this one too. Do you remember what year was this one?
I think the one on the left was probably 2015 for sure. Yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
Wow. And then this one, I guess 2019, 20, somewhere there, right?
Yeah. Somewhere. Yeah.
And then this, okay, so this is the one where I met Amy. It's so memorable. December 2018 when I launched the program. And this is Josie. I always hear about Josie because she's a single mom. She's a single mom. And then so this one was when she actually raced her first 70.3. Unfortunately, she sprained her ankle in her first 70.3 during the run. But she's looking like she's having fun. Is it? Was it your first 70.3?
This is older. Those pictures are from my first triathlon. So this is like only a few months into racing, or training. So yeah.
Gotcha. So this one was one of the group workouts when I met you the first time when you lost your key and then you didn't get to ride. Like before we met, how were you then? We want to know what were your struggles, or did you struggle? Did you have hard time or challenges, or were you already a badass athlete back then?
No.
Tell us.
So I was coming from, back in 2017. I was, had run a couple marathons and, ride my bike with friends and things like that. And I had a friend that did triathlons, but she said, let's go do a metric century up in San Luis Obispo area. And so we did that back in 2017. And then she was like, well, let's sign up for, a triathlon, and my friends at the time, they really only did sprints and Olympics. So it was an Olympic up in the Santa Rosa area that we did. And that was going to be in June. And in January, December, January is when I signed up for a gym. And in 2018, wow. And said, I know how to run. I know how to ride a bike. I have a road bike. And I know how to swim, but I don't know how to do it for distance. First thing I did was get a swim coach. And, my first swim coach was great. She got me going, learning how to do the right, different form to try and, first time trying to get across the pool. I was, out of breath and everything like that. But that swim coach, I had her through, I think June, but she moved to San Diego. So then I was searching for, and she kind of helped me with the other things, kind of gave me guidance. I joined some of the Facebook groups and started, as far as the biking and running, was doing it on my own. The swim coach, but she didn't really give me workouts. It was
okay.
Kind of, just meet with her once a week and she would work on things, but I was on my own as far as the training. And then when she moved, I was on my own for everything until December 2018. And what happened was I didn't do well December 8, 2018. I had just met you, but we didn't really start the coaching and everything like that. When I did hit 70.3, and I sprained my ankle and everything, but I got lost on the bike and things like that. So it really was not satisfying. I was frustrated and different things coming out of that. And so coming out of that and then meeting up with you and talking to you about how you have your programs and, you talk about the different elements that are important about, nutrition and hydration, having recovery time, and having a race strategy and different things like that, was all new stuff for me. You get input from friends and Facebook groups, but you don't know how to process it. There's only hours in a week to try and get these things done. So, it's like, joining up with you really gave me focus, what things to, work on first, and because you can't focus on everything.
I'm glad that you shared, actually. I mean, I heard that you said you were unsatisfied, you were frustrated. And who here who's actually viewing? Well, let's welcome Naga, Cecily, Bernadette, Eric, Maria, Simon, Chris, Gloria. We got people who just, sometimes you guys have race, you train for it, and then suddenly you're not satisfied, frustrated. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? If you're one of those, say I. And if you're listening to it, to this one live, hashtag live. So we want to know, what are you struggling besides what, Amy said? I mean, so she said she was taking care of the bike. She was taking of the run. Are you the same? Like you're struggling with swimming. So let me see. So, but then, so what I wanted to ask you, when you did your personal record last month, on St. George, and then the next thing is also your personal record in Tulsa, how was the feeling? Was it completely different? Like, did you come in confident? Or did
Yeah.
you have any fear?
Knowing that the training had been done and we had worked on specific things, knowing that the races were hilly, St. George specifically, and that the conditions were going to be different for each of them. St. George was going to be hot and hilly and dry, and Tulsa was going to be hilly, but not as hilly and in different areas. Rained day in and day out for like the month before. So we had to prepare differently for that. But I knew exactly, with meeting with you and then also knowing my own training of where I was at, what my goals were for each specific piece, and what things I need to prepare for. And now, and honestly, I still kind of feel like a newbie compared to some people, they've been doing this for years.
Oh, sure.
But I've honestly only done 9 races, 2 of them and 3 of them 70.3s, but a total of 9 races. That's like not that many, right? So
yeah. But some people they can't count it anymore. They lost, well, like me, I lost count.
Yeah.
But wow, you're so humble, Amy, to say that. So I mean, 2018 was not a long time ago. That was only like really, I can completely remember. It was like December 2018. Back when you were at 2018, did you ever imagine that you would actually be the way you feel right now? Do you feel strong and healthy and vibrant that hey, I could do this? How was the feeling? How was the difference? Did you feel that what's going to happen today will have, when you were back the old Amy, what was your mindset back in the old Amy? Was like, oh, maybe I'll just finish the race. Well, tell me more about, what are the changes, transformations that you felt besides physical?
Just for fun, try, doing 3 different sports in one day. And just to finish. And even when I started training for Florida, it was, and I signed up originally for Santa Rosa, but then I had the bike accident in February 2018. Really, I didn't know where I wanted to finish, and you have 17 hours to finish, but I actually didn't imagine when I finished Florida that I finished in 15 hours 20 minutes, and originally it was just finish in 17 hours, who knows, right? But
just finish it.
But with the training and with having the consultations with you, preparation before the race, laying out Google spreadsheets that had, all of the preparation that I wanted to have, things I wanted to pack, how to prepare that race week, diet, nutrition, stopping caffeine, alcohol, different, salt tax at a time, different, very specific things that, I would never thought of on my own. It just got me to exceed what I thought was possible from back then till now. The things that I dream about doing now wouldn't have even entered my mind back then.
Wow. So it's not just really that you lost weight. You basically transformed inside out. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So it started from the mind. And then did you see yourself like a strong triathlete? Not even, right? You just want to finish. You didn't even think that you're going to finish 15 hours on your first full Ironman.
I mean, I knew I had changed when I started calling myself an athlete. It's like, you start for fun. It's a hobby, right? But at some point along the way, you're like, wait, I'm an athlete. I can call myself an athlete.
Yes. And I want to share to you guys one of the things that she has shared to me here. So this was one of those things that she shared to me, back in 2018, I didn't really have confidence. What I saw is, I'm confident I could do this. And I think it actually really helps you out in what's the next goal. like your goals are like higher, bigger, and even sometimes it could be like, how can I even do it the first time you actually think of it? Like, how do you process that? Like, like for example, you just finished the Ironman Tulsa, right? Now that you have a confident, like different Amy, the new Amy. Tell me.
Yeah. So what's crazy is like, you finished Ironman Florida and you did it in 15 hours, 20 minutes, and you thought you were going to do it 17 originally. And then, we set our goals, we worked on St. George, and then we Tulsa, and I finished and the conditions were that it was raining on the bike. So I in my mind, I could have probably finished the bike a lot faster, even though it was a PR, if it had raining with the conditions. Plus I had some bike issues that I need to be careful with the brakes. But I finished in 14 hours and 6 minutes. Amazing. Yeah. So that's knocking off more than an hour and 15 minutes off of Ironman. And I'm like, I wanted to do better, but I didn't realize that in the end, I was going to do so well. So crazy me goes out and looks at the Florida 2020 results in age group, mine and the next age group, and then the Tulsa age group, mine and the next one. And do you know that the second and third positions in the age group of 55 to 59, which would qualify for Kona, and they gave extra spots for then and now, was at 2.5 hours. So like just another hour and a bit more if I cut that out, and honestly, I could cut an hour out. I mean, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
But
why not? Why not too? I mean, I think what we're learning here, everyone, and tell me more also, those who are listening here, is that, once you actually achieve that thing that you thought you couldn't achieve in the first place when you started, it starts making you curious. Well, if I was able to do that, maybe I can do that. And then you start comparing, well, what's the difference between me and that person? Why can I not do that if I was able to do that? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, is that what you had gone through? And that's why you keep like, hey, I can do that. I'll just, anything is possible.
Yeah,
what do you think?
The thing is that if I don't think it's crazy, does coach think it's not crazy? Does coach like, so, I present that to you and,
sure.
We'll talk about it in specifics, but it's like nice to be able to like match up with someone who has those dreams for you too, right? Like that it's possible, right? Like, and the other things that are coming this year, want to be faster at the bike and at 70.3, want to qualify Boston Marathon, which I only missed it by 6 minutes last year. And then signed up for a 100-mile ultra marathon. It's like, that's very tough too. So we'll see about that.
So let's welcome Steve and Joe. Steve said, "Orale, wait to inspire Amy Purvis." Joe said, yes, you can go to Kona. Anyone else who are actually relating to what Amy's saying, say, I had a dream before and I thought I couldn't do it, but now I was able to do that. And then now you're inspired to actually achieve more. Right. So we talked about the mental fitness or the mindset, and I'm going to share to you what happened, because sometimes, like in our busy life, there are things that can happen. Okay. So we already know that Amy is a single mom. She has a very demanding job as a manager. And also it was unfortunate. This is one of the things that had happened back then. Okay. So this was actually when she had a bike accident. And this was about 3 months prior to full Ironman, right? And so and at the time it was hard. It was hard. Like, it was not even your fault, but it was an accident, and we had to go through that. And it was more of like, of course, we accept the fact that it was an accident. Let's recover. But then at the same time, okay, what's going to happen to your goal? What was your challenge when you had an accident, and how were you able to get over that hump and then still continue to stay positive? Okay. And then ideal, goal, because as you can see, I'm just gonna explain you the image here. This was actually Amy going to the Hollywood sign with us. She did not really run with us. She was hiking, kind of jogging, but at the same time doing her best to be safe. She went up there. It was about 8 mile hike. And then here also was that, okay, we are still, I have to ask Amy, okay, are you still on with your Ironman? Where are you at? Because I'm not gonna force someone who's like, ooh, like we need to dig into the mindset first. So she said, hey, coach, I'm still on. And okay, you know what? I know swimming very well. I can train you without having one arm working. So as you can see here on the right, it was her left shoulder that I was actually had surgery. So I was actually supervising on what she needed to do, because with the swimming, it's not just about, moving the arm. It's the entire body being in sync together. There's the breathing, there's rotation, there's kicking your core, right? So there's many things. So yeah, so before we go into deeper onto that, we want to know more about how did you overcome one of these challenges when you had an accident, and it took a while to actually recover. Tell us more about it, Amy.
Yeah, so it was a separated shoulder from the bike accident. And, I took a few days. I actually stopped working out for only 3 days. And then, trying to feel out how much pain, and it was horrible trying to put a sports bra on or trying to change clothes and things like that. When you're home alone, trying to do things and stuff. Got back, and with your consultation, got back into training and doing different things, just not swimming for a month. So I think that was the first day that we went back to swimming. And, in my mind, I was like, there's no way I could swim, or still do the Ironman. But, you and I worked together and you had me swimming with one arm. And I'm like, okay, we have enough time to do this and adjust for this. But, and you basically told me if I really, really wanted to do it, we could probably do it. But, would I just finish or worry about finishing? Or do I want to, be really successful at it, and do my best? So we had to, weigh in the fact of, the timing, because we were in March and the race was the beginning of May in Santa Rosa. Yep. So in the end, we decided to defer, mostly probably because I hadn't really done any other race since that December 2018 one that wasn't successful. And then so this way, I got the chance to do Steelhead at the end of June. And then, so I did race pretty soon after that. In Lake Michigan for Steelhead, and then Florida at the beginning of November. So, that still was a tight timeline to be able to get back in and get back up to ramping up to the distance and everything like that. But it was more about, coming up with a plan and deciding what was the best thing to do and what were the outcomes that I wanted. Did I just want to struggle and say that I did it in Santa Rosa, or did I want to, do the best that I can and finish and also get another race under my belt before Florida, having that, really was still quite new to triathlon. So yeah, it was like the options and then just moving forward with a plan. So
yeah. So I think what I'm getting at is clarity is really important. Okay, so what you did there, I'm just going to extract what you said there, is that, what you did is basically being at present, right? And then doing the best you can with the circumstance. Because the thing is that it's not easy. If someone had an accident, like, a lot of coaches would say, don't do anything, which is, which is what is normal, what is normal. But then they are also with me, it's more of like, what can we do right now? So that, because to me, honestly, I don't want to focus to something that you cannot do. But because when we focus on the athlete's weaknesses too much, when the mind is already going down because because of the accident, it's just not good for the athlete, and it gets depressing, right? So for example, for athletes who are actually watching this, if you're having a hard time, yes, definitely solve whatever you're having a hard time, but don't focus on it too much. My suggestion is actually focus on your strengths. What can you do right now to uplift how you're feeling? Because by the end of the day, what you want is to be happy. And I hope, to be happy by the end of the day. It's not just about working out. It's about how can you be happy? And that's what Amy had done. And the next thing that she had was sharing with us is that she needed to have, like when she had to decide on her own. And I'm only like more of a guide. It's not me telling her like what to do. And I'm only like, okay, Amy, what do you want? And then there you go. So yeah, so who are having a hard time right now? Raise your hand, say what your challenges are, because we have Amy here gonna dig into your she's in the group, she's very humble, but I'm passing the work to her. But yeah, no, seriously, in Ironman and beyond, we are all, community, we're family here. So share what you're having a hard time so we can check it out, like what we can do. Okay, good stuff, Amy. I know we're running out of time, but I want to address more. So in Feisty Fox coaching, what we do, and I'm gonna show it right here, right now, is that because when you were training, right, on your own, you were only training, right? And then now you tell us that, you learn other things. And so basically, so the way we do Feisty Fox coaching it's not just about training. And I learned it hard way too. My coaches would give me training plan and I'm like, coach, I'm not getting my result, or I plateaued. I was racing so much. And then what the athletes, I hope you guys, if you're listening to this, is that you need to train, yes. Okay, be consistent, be specific to your goal, right? Like what Amy is saying. Okay, so I have a hilly course. You need to study the course, and that's part of the race strategy, right? The next thing is that nutrition, injury prevention, or body maintenance and mental fitness. Which one of these 5 things, Amy, that you think you needed help on when we started the most? Or did you know everything already at the time?
I just needed guidance on a lot of things, but I mean, I would have to say that, the recovery and body maintenance is probably the number one that I really didn't have at all at the time, right? Like, and so that's why I was getting injured. And then, I really made a commitment to, if I'm partnering up with you, that, I want to look at all facets of my life and how it's fitting into it so I can get the most out of it. And it's not just, you're not telling me what to do, but you know me, right? Like I'm looking at my numbers because I love numbers.
And you're the same.
The paces that I'm doing, and am I getting the results that I want? And I'm asking questions, I'm making plans.
Yeah.
And so constantly, not even just, even though I met my goals, I have new goals. Oh, how am I going to get to the next level? So reading, there are a lot of tools that I didn't have before, like using Audible and listening to the books that, revise your life and work on your environment, and finding inspiration and different tools and things like that I can still constantly use and share with others too. Because for me, I like helping others because it helps me think about what do I need to do and how can I, advance myself and put into practice things that I need to do. So even beyond what I'm doing today.
Who needs help? Raise your hand. Amy will help. You mentioned you mentioned the magic word, body maintenance. A lot of our athletes are mentioning body maintenance. What is body maintenance, coach? What are you teaching body maintenance? So if you're new in this group, so body maintenance, and you can also look at our guide in Ironman and Beyond. There's a guide there that says body maintenance. Basically, the body maintenance is more of how can you prevent injury. A lot of times we do something about an injury or a potential injury after the fact already, when you're hurting already. Okay. So what I teach athletes, and even if you're an Ironman and Beyond, is that what I teach you guys is that you need to be proactive instead of you waiting it to happen. The hurt, the pain, the discomfort is that you go back before and be proactive. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth when you already have tooth decay, right? So now, so those are the body maintenance. It's not just about stretching. It's not just that. It's basically what you need to eat, outside training. How do you need to take care of yourself? The sleep, the recovery. I just got my second Guinness World Record. How did I recover fast and be able to actually race 23 Ironman in 34 days? I teach all my secrets tested to these athletes to actually recover fast. Because the thing is that for an athlete to get faster, like within a short amount of time, is to be able to recover fast. And you want to recover fast. Why? Because you don't want to be struggling the next day and be in survival mode on your training and not putting your high quality. As much as possible, you want to do your best to put a high quality on each workout. Okay. And I think that's where we got you getting fast, like within a short amount of time. Anyone else who have a question here? Now, there you go. Gloria has a question for you, Amy. So
Okay.
Gloria asked, hey, Gloria, how's it going? So what is your, ooh, this is good. What is your strategy for management time as a full-time mother, single, full-time professional, and full-time athlete? How about, like tell us how your day goes, like the busiest day, the week. There's a lot of dropping off the kid. There's a lot of baseball watch, like baseball game on weekends, like seriously a lot. So now I'm gonna let you talk about that. Let's help the single moms or the parents, the super parents here wanting to be an athlete and at the same time super parents. Let's do it, Amy.
Well, I mean, I think the number one key is preparation, right? Like, so it takes work and it takes energy, but like looking at a calendar a month or a week in advance. Like for instance, today for me, it was a 3-day holiday. Today is month-end reporting for my work. I know that it's already going to be a long day. And coach asked, can you do the interview at 5:30? I'm like, oh my goodness, that means that I'm going to I had to log into work yesterday. I went grocery shopping over the weekend. Food prep is usually on Sundays. And, I take my lunch and breakfast every day. I make a smoothie in the morning. I make my coffee. And then I have to commute to take my daughter to and from her dad's house and to softball practice in the afternoons after school, even though she's homeschooling. So, I'm always looking, days in advance or weeks in advance, plan things out to, make the travel plans. And I have checklists and I have lists and different things like that. But so that's really the biggest thing, is to pre-plan and look ahead and do my food prep and different things like that so that I'm not falling behind. You may not always get those things done that you want, but if you're trying to do it as much as you can, you'll get most of it done and you'll do better than, if you didn't, because I think that the hardest sometimes thing to make sure is to stay on track with your nutrition and, and the
hurry.
Right. So, food prep is very important. So those are things that
Amy, you were not like this before, were you? Before the triathlon? Or were you already like this?
Correct. I would, I wanted to cook and things like that at home more. Sure. But, honestly, you give up certain things that are not important to you anymore. So I probably am not as social as I used to be. I don't go out as much, but I get great satisfaction at, the training and the racing, and I'm like going new places. And, one weekend I'll be in Boise, Idaho. Another weekend I'll be in Arizona, just because I find it fun now. So that's my new fun, right? So
she says she's not sociable. I don't think that's true. But so I mean, it takes a lot more effort and a lot more attention. But I do believe once you get going with the habits, right, with the proper system wherein it's repeatable, then it's something that you can just repeat it. But I think it's more of the incorporating that, right? Incorporating that in there. I think it's also being kind to oneself, that it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
But those little habits and even attempting one thing, a week, right? Like these athletes, let's say, like for example, Gloria wants to apply something. What could be like one of the things that you can give them, for an athlete who wants to like, hey, I want to get organized? Because let me show you what the training pics of Amy. Okay, so one of the best things that actually Amy does and help me out also in planning is because she tells me her availability. So right now, it says here her notes: rest, get Josie. So she tells me communicate, and because I'm busy too, right? So now we use the training piece to communicate that. So she would say, let me see. So she would tell me here, like for example, this Saturday, she said softball practice at 6:30 a.m. So now split availability. So there's a lot of communication, and then now we need to work on like what's the availability. So yeah, so definitely the communication, and then of course communicating with your daughter's coach as well. So what is there any tip, like for example, an athlete who is just starting to like what can be the tool that they can incorporate, just even one, like an easy one?
Have to lay out what your goals are, right? Like
There you
what
go.
you want to achieve and when you want to achieve it, right? And even down to, I'd like to be, build my upper body strength, or I'd like to lose 10 pounds, right? So you set the goals, but you have to like, what am I going to do? Add one thing a week. What am I going to set out and, change my environment, change my habits so that I can achieve what I want to down the road. So for me, it's always each week on Sunday, I decide what is it this week that I want to add, or what do I want to change. So like even driving in the car, commuting, I'm listening to Audible books that tell me, what are the strategies that I can incorporate. So I multitask with all my different things that I do, but each week I try to add something if I want to achieve a new goal. Add one thing, stop eating out fast food. How am I going to do that? So add one thing. I'm going to start cooking so that I buy fresh food and different things like that at home. So yeah.
All right. Okay. Good job. Thank you, Amy. Fanny actually comment, Amy, all the moms, we are Wonder Woman. Even if we are busy, we make things happen. Good job, ladies. How about the dads? How about the dads? I know we have Eric, who's actually also super dad here. And who else? We have, all right, we have Joe, Simon, Gloria, Fanny, Chris, Cecily, Eric, Maria, Naga. Who else are listening? #live. And if you have questions, we're about to end. But Amy is in the group. She's very humble and helpful. She loves to help. Amy, why do you do this? Why do you help athletes? I know you mentioned that earlier, but like what is the satisfaction? What's your drive? Like, why do you do this?
Well, I mean, for one, I was there before, right? Like I had lots of questions, no answers.
Yes.
It's helpful when people who are successful or have been doing it give advice, and as long as they give the advice with the caveat that works for me. I don't know if it works for you. Maybe you have to modify it a little bit. And then the other thing is, when I help other people, it opens my mind up. What can I work on, and what are the additional things that I can do? How can I grow? So for me, it inspires me to do better, so that we can all do better. And I did want to mention one thing. Congratulations on your Guinness World Record.
You're so nice. It's all about you, supposedly, but thank you. Yeah, so today, it was officially announced or approved by Guinness World Record. This was the second Guinness World Record for finishing the most Ironman in a year. But I finished in 34 days at 23 full Ironman distance, completed 10 consecutive days in 10 consecutive days. I think the last 9 Ironman was sub 14 hours.
Yeah.
Fastest was
at the end. I don't understand.
The fastest was 13 hours. If you remove the transition, the fastest was actually 11:51. I was amazed myself. That was just only last year. Oh my God. So that was October till December 2nd. And Amy, my athlete, helped out, and she was one of the leaders. And without her, without the medical team, without the core team, I would have not achieved it. And at the time, I was coachable myself. I was listening to my athletes. I wanted to share this to you guys because I really want to make sure you guys get value from it. Because the athletes in Feisty Fox Tribe, it's actually a current only athletes. And, we discuss about things. A lot of times, sometimes it's not just about triathlon. We want all the Feisty Fox athletes. It's not just about triathlon. We transform. We want to help each other, not just in sports. So this is one of the things that Amy brought up, actually. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, it came from Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
Right? James Clear, the author. If you guys want to check it out, it's a good book. So
let's post on that. Yeah.
So this one was actually, there's an outcome there, process, identity, who you are is the inside. And then one of the things that Amy said among the group is that if your efforts are focused on changing the outcome by instituting new and improved processes, the change is slower and harder to maintain. So this is the outcome. When you focus on what you achieve, which is could be the, Ironman, right? But then if you change the identity, right, it's different effect. Tell us more about this one, Amy, if you don't mind, before we end this one. So I hope that we can give more things to our athletes in Ironman and beyond.
Yeah, no, it's more about like if you internalize and what you define as yourself, that I am a triathlete, or I am an athlete, or I am a healthy person who is very fit. And you say, well, what are the behaviors and things that I do on a daily basis? Or how do I conduct my schedule? Or what do I eat that is in alignment with what I identify as myself? So if you do the growth from the inside out, you're already being proactive as opposed to being reactive of, oh, well, I want to race an Ironman, so I'm going to start training. So I'm going to start doing this. No, you want to say, I am an Ironman.
Yep.
If I'm an Ironman, how do I conduct myself in every which way of my life? So that's the difference, is that identify with your goals first and define yourself that way. And the change will be much faster. And you'll already know what that feels like before you actually achieve it.
Gotcha. So first, you said identify yourself, know your identity, right? And what are the behaviors? What are the behaviors that actually would get you that kind of identity? So when you actually started as a triathlon, you said you want to be an athlete or triathlete. You are the athlete triathlete. Is that how you identify yourself when you started?
Oh no, when I started, I was like, oh, I want to have fun. I just
there you go. You have fun, right?
Try out, and see, I'll get to this one or I'll get to that one. But now I'm kind of like, okay, I am an Ironman. I am an ultra runner. I am a fast runner that can, qualify for Boston. I already defined myself that way. So what are the things that I need to do in order to maintain that? Gotcha. I already know that about myself. It's different than saying, okay, I'd like to get there. Oh, I might be a healthy person. So it's very different when you do it from the inside out.
Yes. And also because the thing about it is that when you get there, that's later. You lose the fact that you're living right now, right? So now that's great. That's an identity change. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to change our identity right now. And even, sometimes it's right now we battle like, okay, am I really an Ironman? Well, not really, but you become an Ironman right now by doing the behaviors of an Ironman. You don't wait anyone to tell you are an Ironman. You tell yourself you are an Ironman by acting to be that person, the finisher, the strong finisher. If you want to be Kona finisher, then you are a Kona finisher right now. If you want to be a 100-mile ultra runner, finisher, a strong one, then you got to be there, right? And then that actually helps out with the clarity of the goals. Like, we were talking about, because how about you tell us what's your next goal, Amy? I'm not going to ruin it.
Yeah, I talked about a little bit that, I still have 3 things that by the end of this year that I'd like to do. And, I signed up for Javelina Genred, which is a 100-mile ultra marathon. So I've done a couple of ultras. The longest one would be a 60K, which is 40 miles. And so, in order for me to get to 100 miles, it just boggles my mind. You're going to have to run in the dark, starting in the dark through the day, and then finish in the dark. So, it's going to be 24 hours. So we'll see how that goes, but we got to get there. Getting faster on triathlon. So I have a 78.3. I would like to get faster on the bike. And then qualify for Boston. Don't know if that'll happen this year, but definitely still want to get faster on the run. So,
all right, good.
They're competing priorities, and so how do we put that together? And working with you is one of the things that gives me confidence that I can have these competing priorities and still be able to attain them. So,
yeah. Because I don't always say yes. Sometimes Amy has crazy ideas. Amy, why? Priority, let's focus, right?
Yeah.
So that before we end this one, Amy, it's such a privilege to have you. We're learning so much. We want to ask you, what are the top three things that you can, impart to us to get more, if an athlete, let's just say, let's take you back when you were
Yeah.
like not knowing what triathlon is, haven't finished an Ironman yet, right? Clueless, or like not knowing how to have clarity with goals. And actually, even Simon asked, like, how about mental training? How do you do that? Like a lot of athletes just focus on training, training, training. But in feistyfox coaching, I said, like, we need to focus on five things: training, nutrition, body maintenance, mindset, and then race strategy. So now, in your own words, teach us what are the top three things that we want to make sure we get it done to be successful, just like you.
I mean, for me, because of the way my brain works, is I get clarity and I get calmness from being organized. So knowing what needs to be done by a certain time in order for a particular race or whatever goal that I set for that race, like, is it time? Is it being better at hills, things like that.
Sure.
So when I know the specific goal that I want for that race, or that goal, like losing weight or something like that, I tend to get organized. I calendar it out. How much do I need to do this week in order to get to the point 3 months down the road? So people are different, but I that's how I do it. I try to box it into smaller pieces by being able to calendar it out. What are the specifics that I have to do this week? And then down, what do I need to do today? And then tomorrow, that all out. So, yeah.
Okay. So be organized. Is there anything else?
One of the things that I notice about other people, that when they aren't successful, and it's a very hard truth for a lot of people, but they put nutrition and losing weight in the middle of it. They say, I wish that this will happen when I start training, but they don't necessarily focus on it. But I'll tell you what, losing the weight and having very specific steps to get there within a certain amount of time will make
help you
so much easier. Losing the beginning and being very focused. And to be honest, when I started, I did the green tea smoothie diet. There was a book with it, but I didn't follow exactly. But 3 weeks builds a habit. So I did the smoothie thing for 3 weeks straight, and I upped my my training or my exercise. But if you can stay committed for 3 weeks, you can build a habit. So I did 2 smoothies a day, and then I did a small meal and then 2 small snacks. But I stayed on that for 3 weeks. And then, you can relax a little bit. But when you gain something from that 3 weeks, you feel much better about it. So if one of your big goals in the back of your mind, but you don't know how to get there, or you get frustrated, is to lose weight in order to get to doing better at races, make that a priority. That's the number one thing that puts people behind, I think. So
I think nutrition, it gets hand in hand, and also at the same time, whenever one actually be able to implement whatever habit that you want, desired habit, it actually builds confidence that, hey, if I did that, I'm gonna do another one. It's like a game, and also it like, you can do this, like, right? And then you continue to crush the goals. Awesome. Great. Oh my God, this is so much good stuff. So who's watching here, whether it's a replay or live, who here is ready to just like step up the game? And then now don't just focus on the training, but actually those 5 things that I said. Okay. And we touch base again: training, nutrition, body maintenance, race strategy, and mindset. Who here is ready? Raise your hand. Go ahead. What you're going to show something, Amy?
Oh, God.
Go ahead, please. There you go. Is that IRONMAN Tulsa?
Yes, this is Tulsa.
Yes. All right. This was a hard-earned medal in the rain while she was having trouble with her bike. and she still finished strong. Amazing, Amy. Amazing.
Thank you.
Everyone, it's been a pleasure to have you guys. And of course, one and only Amy Purvis. You're such an inspirational, continue doing what you're doing. We are so excited to follow you through. If you want to touch base with Amy, you can contact her in Ironman and Beyond. She's very approachable and she's willing to help out just, because she came back from like not knowing anything either.
Just like everybody else, just didn't know what I was doing.
Awesome.
Started years ago. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to let everyone to go and you guys have a great week. Till next time on our next live interview. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.